Guys, hello everyone. Today I felt like taking a slightly unusual topic, specifically to talk about certain phenomena, or rather about a person who is a phenomenon. I hope that for many of you, the topic of who Elon Musk really is might be interesting. He's a personality who sparks a lot of debate. I think for many of you, at least I hope it will be intriguing. I've personally observed him on a subtle level. I was curious who he really is, whether he's on the side of the right or the left, what kind of person he is overall. If you follow my content on Boosty, where I talk about how they've basically taken over our world, you might have caught a tiny snippet I posted there about Elon Musk a while back, just a small note about him, from when I first looked at him on the subtle plane. But after that, I went back to him many times, watching, analyzing, because this is a very unusual figure. On one hand, we see him wearing a Baphomet costume in some Dracula-like castle for Halloween. On the other hand, we see him buying Twitter and completely removing censorship, revealing all sorts of things. These appear to be entirely opposite moves, so I think that's interesting for a lot of people. Before we start, though, I want to say something else. First, I've read your comments and I'm incredibly happy to see them. I really enjoy reading about the experiences you share with me and with others, including moments that confirm some of the things I say in my videos. Of course, there are also various other comments. For example, some are quite aggressive. And right away, let me say, I already spoke about this once, but I'll add more, guys. Please stop stirring up aggression in my comment section. I just won't tolerate it seriously. Where attention goes, energy flows, or you don't realize you're being provoked, being told you must either love some of or hate event you're mentioning, and in both cases, you're just pouring your energy into it. I'm not saying we have to shut our eyes and pretend nothing is happening. In fact, I myself analyze world news and events, what's going on in the world, over on my Telegram. I talk about how I see a lot of the global situations we're currently facing. And believe me, it's not pleasant for me to look at all that on the subtle plane either. Politics is dirty, no matter how you look at it. Every time I go there, watch these events unfold on the global stage, it feels like I'm plunging into a grimy, filthy puddle and afterwards I want to wash myself off. It's just really unpleasant. And this figure we're about to discuss, Elon Musk, well, that's also not straightforward. He's definitely not some sweet, fluffy bunny in the sense we might imagine. He's a player, a very serious player. Maybe not high a level in the typical sense, but yes, he's playing a high stakes game. He doesn't care how many people might suffer in the process of his game. Yes, sometimes he does appear to do something nice, but he's still playing. He has a goal, and that goal is to win the game he set in motion, and he'll walk right over whoever stands in his way. Using Elon Musk as an example, we can talk a bit about this idea. So you realize that many similar figures have now gathered on this stage. They're all playing this big game together. He's not the only one, and they play dirty. In one way or another, they use dirty methods, though sometimes they also choose to do something that appears beneficial. So, to help you see how not so simple real life can be, let's dive into analyzing this particular figure. I've wanted to do a video on him for a while. Examining him might give you a better understanding that life isn't black and white. Say alright, let's talk specifically about Elon Musk, how I see him, or rather, how I see his soul. Who is this soul? Why did it come here? And how does it appear? How does it operate? And in what way does it affect our world? Elon Musk is a very complex figure. On one side, we see things like chipped monkeys, or the Starlink system, which I examined on the subtle level at one point and sensed something not so good about it. It's being presented to us as a wonderful idea. Something about global internet for everyone accessible in every corner of the earth, but it has a subtext that might not be so positive. Not only I noticed that plenty of people have mentioned that the Starlink system will be connected to some sort of digitalization, something about electromagnetic signals that might pass along to various towers or who knows what else, potentially enabling new forms of control. Possibly these signals would pass to the same bizarre towers we've heard about, or something like that. It's a complex web of interaction that would allow for a certain type of oversight. So, on one hand, we see these monkey microchips, where the promise was, it's going to be great, but as far as I recall, those monkeys didn't live very long after getting chipped. Then there are things like rocket missions to Mars, and that car he supposedly launched into space, aiming for Mars eventually. On the other hand, we observe him making some very interesting statements as well as interesting moves, like I already mentioned the Baphomet costume he wore at some party. Also, there was a time he named his son using some combination of letters and numbers. Then there's that woman, the mother of his child, who's a bit of an odd person, rumored to be tied to questionable groups worshipping goats or something. Some people say she was sent to manipulate Musk, and I do get that impression, as if she were weaving some sort of spell, an aura of witchcraft around him. They apparently broke up in late 2021, I believe. By the way, it's with her that he had two children whose names are like letter number codes, whereas his other kids, he has quite a few from previous marriages or relationships, have normal human names, so something about that scenario was definitely off. Anyway, the point is Elon Musk has done a bunch of contradictory things. Like, there was also that dog cork coin fiasco. He said, hey guys, let's buy this coin, sent that dog token to the moon in terms of price, and ordinary people actually started making enormous money off it. But that was pure market manipulation on his part. Then certain trading platforms suddenly halted everything, claiming they had to stop the speculation. Supposedly they were all about the free market, but in reality they caved to big corporations and basically cut people off from trading. So he exposed the fact that this free market was anything but free. That was quite revealing. Likewise, right now on Twitter, he's highlighting the issue of censorship, showing how social platforms manage and block opinions they don't want. Some of you might have seen that interview he did with a reporter who claimed, under you, Twitter has become this awful, toxic place. And Elon responded, give me an example. The reporter couldn't provide any real example at all and just kept saying, well, the feed is terrible. Elon basically said, if you're going to make accusations, show me evidence, and the journalist had none. It was ridiculous. Probably you've also heard that Musk is now under a lot of pressure. He's become a huge figure, and the US media is starting to run a smear campaign against him, similar to what they did with Trump, open attacks, saying, who does he think he is? Basically trying to put him in his place. This is typical once someone starts opening people's eyes, like, look, they're manipulating you. Suddenly, the attacks begin. I think that's enough backstory. Most of you know it anyway. Let me tell you what I personally see on the subtle plane when I ask, whose side is he on? Is he on the side of the globalists, or is he with the so-called white hats? People who follow my Telegram know I just say it plainly. I specify who I mean by these terms. I sense that Elon Musk is kind of on a tightrope, as if he's walking on a razor's edge, juggling a bunch of balls from hand to hand. He's not leaning entirely one way or the other. He tosses a ball to one side then to the other, meaning he deals with both sides. But he's running his own game, and that game is all about what he wants. He does have a purpose, and that purpose is connected to the higher office, or as I say, the chancellery. I see that his soul came here from that rare realm, and he's not the only one. There are many such souls here now. Yeah, they're extremely serious players from a soul perspective at a very high level. We often talk about light and dark souls, dividing them into black and white, but we forget there is another category, balancer souls. Some of you may have heard of these or even mentioned them in comments yourselves. Balancers are not half light, half dark in some simplistic way. Right now, if we take Elon Musk's soul, I see a bright spark. He's light, but he also carries within him the experience of once being dark. You can't take that from him. He knows exactly how the darkness operates. He knows how to act in dirty ways, how to play dark methods. He's familiar with that entire system. When I say he's on the balance, I mean that visually, when I look at him, there's a perfect equilibrium. His light experience and his dark experience are about 50-50. That's why I see him balancing on a razor's edge. Right now, in this life, he's in his light mode, so his motives are more positive. But that dark experience is still in him, and he knows how the dark side thinks, the logic they follow, and how they do what they do. He's fully capable of playing those same dirty tricks. Why are such souls here now? Because to fight the dark, you need souls who know how to do it. They know all the dark's traps, so they won't get caught in them. This is a very dirty game that's being played worldwide, and the players are very strong. The people sometimes say, we're too naive, how can we possibly win? But realize that these special souls who've held both dark and light in equal measure, are far more effective in battling the dark than purely light souls who don't know how the dark operates. That's exactly why, at the moment, our position is more advantageous than it was many years ago. By the way, for those on my boosty who wondered about this, I hope that clarifies it a bit. And for my YouTube viewers, since I see similar questions in the comments all the time, when I look at souls like this, even Musk's soul, I see that, yes, they sense the presence of other souls, they have some love for them, and they feel a connection with them, but at the same time they're fooled by excitement, by the thrill of the game. They have a specific mission assigned to them. In Musk's case, he needs to ensure some plan goes through. For him, it's like a personal challenge. How can I outsmart the dark so he can complete his mission? They become so obsessed with the game and the challenge that they'll do whatever it takes. They might well step on a lot of people's heads if they must. Their drive to succeed in this big puzzle overshadow everything else. To me, it feels like a big poker match. They're professional card sharps. If the dark side are cheaters, these souls are more like pro-level gamblers who can counter those cheats with their own cunning. And they only agree to play the toughest games, the ones that really test their brilliance, like advanced math professors who don't bother with a fifth grader's homework but take on insanely complicated equations. That's the sort of complex puzzle these souls have come to solve. For them, this entire incarnation is a game they aim to win. I've seen more than one such soul, and they all give off the same vibe. This is my game. That's it. I'm in it for the full, intense experience. I sense that they're now entering the final phase, the final push. For those of you following me, you might remember I've said there are only a few moves left, but a single move can contain a huge number of events. So the final move isn't just one event, it's a series of events in the final stage. We can see many players, like Musk, emerging from the shadows. I discussed that more on Telegram. Hopefully, this helps clarify why sometimes these figures seem to be for us, yet also sometimes for them. It's not that they're indecisive about choosing dark or light. Rather, they're running their own game in which they might appear allied with one side or the other at different moments. By the way, Donald Trump is another of these types of players, though not exactly the same. If you're curious, let me know in the comments and I can analyze him too the way I see him. I have touched on him before, but I can go deeper. Lastly, about the comments. Many of you ask about disconnecting attachments, especially under every video. You say, Nedesta talked about something, but never explained how to remove attachments. But, guys, honestly, I have tons of videos on how to remove attachments. Do you really want me in every single video to give another 3-hour lecture on how to remove them? That's not realistic. The information is there if you watch my channel regularly. There's even a link in nearly every video description to the original video on how to remove attachments. I also have an entire playlist called Practical Knowledge where I collect all these topics including practical advice. I don't know what else to say. Should I mention in every single or video that there's a separate guide on removing attachments? Because there is. Speaking of which, since we're on the topic, as many of you know, I've started the third wave of my attachment removal course. We've already had the first classes, an introductory lesson on attachments, and a Q&A session. If you missed joining at the start, there's still time. I haven't closed enrollment, so you can catch up as the course continues. And for those who come later, the entire course will be available as a recording once it's finished. So don't worry if you didn't make it in time. Anyway, that's all for today. I love you all, big hugs. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share my channel. Become a member of my Telegram channel and discuss with like-minded people as a supporting club member.